Hello my beautiful viewers, welcome back to Huel's Kitchen. I'm your host, Nisha. So today, as requested by one of our viewers, Shandine Wallace, she suggested rice and beans with coleslaw, brown stew chicken, and fried plantain. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now I know we've been off the camera for a while. That's because my family and I, we PCS to our new duty station, and we had to get situated and all. But keep on watching. In between, we're going to post some interesting stuff, entertainment. Something to laughing, just want to watch food, cooking, and all that. So just please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and hit the notification bell.
Right. So,
Hi guys.
okay, no problem.
No, I'm just saying hi.
This is the water chug it challenge.
Yeah.
Let's see who is going to win. Husband
So
versus wife.
before we move forward, what we're gonna do is the water challenge. Who loses have to go outside in about a foot of snow barefoot in what we have on. Here we're going to start off with our beans. We have a quarter pound of beans. We have a quarter cup of coconut milk, a tablespoon of Cajun seasoning, a tablespoon of Creole seasoning, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of black pepper, also a tablespoon of complete season, a couple pimento seed. I have my glass of wine in the corner, as you can see. We're going to be using some scallion, onion, garlic, and pepper. So I move over to the stove, I turn it on, and I leave it on 6 to get the pot a little bit hot. Then I add my beans to it. So I pick my beans overnight, meaning taking out whatever doesn't belong in there. I wash it and then I soak it. So now I went back and I add more water so that way it could be on the stove for a period of time without running out of water. Now we're moving on to cutting up the scallion, crushing or garlic, and or onion. Here we have a little challenge going on, so please keep on watching me saying hi. Yeah, I was excited to do this video for you guys since it's been a while. But yeah, happy to be back. So first thing I'm going to start off with is crushing my garlic. I usually do this because it comes out easily. So you just give it a good crush with the knife and then you just take the skin off and you'll be fine. So you just keep on doing that for the garlic. I used 4 cloves of garlic in our beans. So it depends on how much you want. Then I use a quarter of an onion and all I did was slice it. I did not want to do like put them in small little cubes. I just slice it because having the onion in the beans while it's cooking, it's just gonna cook away for the duration. So I move over to the sink and wash the scallion. I did not cut it up, or I didn't cut the root off of the scallion, only because the scallion has strength in there. And I also wash my pepper. Then I went back and checked on my beans to see how it was doing, and I add my vegetables, or I should say my seasoning to it. Yeah, I didn't use a lot because everything will cook away, so that's why I use such a little bit, and then I add my pimento to it. After this I just went ahead and as you can see, cover my pot, and then I came back and add my oil, because we all know you gotta add oil to your beans when you're cooking it, or whatever you're cooking, you gotta use oil. And then I put a stick of thyme in there. Here is just my husband videotaping like the steam coming out of the pot. Then I move on to my chicken. Nothing I hate more than finding feathers in my chicken after they supposedly clean it. So what I did was just get rid of the feathers and take out the little bag inside that has the neck and whatever, and then I just pour the vinegar on there. As you can see, that's what I'm doing now. Also it has like these yellow like thin skin on top of it, so that's why I rub my hand on it to get rid of that. Now I'm just cutting my chicken in half, straight down, back and front in half. And then after that I'm just gonna cut up my chicken into the portion that I need. But during this time, as you can see, we zoom in. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into details, but yeah, I had to remove that because it is gross. So make sure you clean your chicken properly, or whatever meat you're cooking. Clean it properly. You don't want to have guests come over and they say, "Oh, did you see how this person take care of their meat?" You don't want that. So here I am again. Like I told you before, I cut the chicken down in half, front and back, and then I cut it up into pieces, into good sized pieces for stewed chicken. And then I add some more vinegar and some warm water, and then I just give it a wash. Now the only thing that I didn't get to clean was the chicken neck. So that's what I'm doing now. I just want to get rid of those little slime thingy that's on there. So the seasoning that I have here is a tablespoon of everything, which is a tablespoon of Cajun, a tablespoon of Creole, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of complete, a tablespoon of black pepper, some pimento, and I have 2 packets of Sazon. Hi guys. Yeah, let's, look at what I'm doing over here. So I'm just adding my black pepper. I distribute it evenly over the whole, like the surface of the chicken, and then I came back and I add my tablespoon of complete seasoning. So you'll notice that after I add 2 seasoning, every time I mix it up. Reason for this is I didn't want to put all of the season on top of it because it creates a layer, and then it's like really thick, and then it just sit on the chicken, and then sometimes not all of it comes off and get on other chicken. So I make sure that during this time I mix it up every time I add 2 seasoning to it. So next I'm going to add my Creole seasoning and my Cajun seasoning. So I try not to hold the Creole seasoning too high because I tend to sneeze every time I use the Creole seasoning. And yeah, it's just something that you're not gonna get used to. You just gotta hold it low and season whatever you're seasoning using the Creole seasoning with. So like I said, I put 2 season first, and then I mix, then I add another 2, then I mix. So we're just gonna keep on doing that. Now here I have my teaspoon of salt. I only use a teaspoon because I didn't want it to be salty, because we have the complete season that is already, have that salt in there. So yeah. And then here I have a tablespoon of homemade jerk seasoning. My husband made sure that he, made his jerk seasoning before we did this video, so we have it to use. And now I'm adding my 2 packets of Sazon. Now for those of you that doesn't have the Grace Browning, or Belizean people that doesn't have Ricardo, you can always use Sazon. If you don't have that, if you don't have the Ricardo, you can use Sazon, and then just brown you could pre-fry it, or besides pre-frying it, you can use sugar and brown it, so that way if you don't have the Ricardo or the browning, you still get your brown stewed chicken. So moving on to our coleslaw. I love this bowl because it has measurements, and not only that, it is beautiful. Yeah, just showing off a little bit on my bowl. I'm just gonna use 2 carrot, and I'm washing the whole cabbage, but I'm only gonna use half. So what I did was I just cut off the top of the carrot and the bottom, And then I scrape it because not a lot of the whatever you want to call it comes off of the carrot. So I just went ahead and scrape it off. You could try it for yourself and you'll see what I'm talking about. So now I'm just gonna go and grate my carrot. I'm just gonna do one and then come back and do the other. Then now all I'm doing here is I'm gonna use half of the cabbage. So remember, when you're making coleslaw, it based on the amount of people that's gonna be eating. Just remember that. So that way you know, like, all right, I have like 5 or 6 people here, or maybe a little bit more. You want to use like a good sized cabbage, a whole one, but not those enormous cabbage. So after I was done shredding up my cabbage, I added to my bowl with carrot. If you guys notice, we got matching knives to the bowl. So now I'm just mixing up my cabbage and my carrot because I didn't want my carrot to sit on the bottom while I add the mayo. Now this is not salt, this is sugar. I only use a little bit over a teaspoon. No, I use a tablespoon. Yeah, a tablespoon of sugar and less than a teaspoon of black pepper. I had to correct myself there. And then I add 3 tablespoon of mayo. So this is what you gotta remember. Try not to do this. Try not to use a dirty spoon in your mayo because it'll go bad. So now I'm just gonna mix it up to see, where I'm at, if I'm gonna need more or not. If I don't, then I'm good. Then I just put away my mayo. But if not, I'm just going to get another spoon and take out what I need. So as you can see here, I went and got a clean spoon and used another heaped tablespoon of mayo and just mixed everything. Make sure that all the cabbage and the carrot is coat completely. I didn't want to just stir and then everything's not coated. But y'all know I had to give the coleslaw a try. I'm a lover of coleslaw. So here I am seasoning my beans. I put in my Creole seasoning, my complete seasoning. And then just remember, it's a tablespoon of everything except the salt. Then I add my teaspoon of salt. And here is my tablespoon of black pepper. Look, it was smelling good in the kitchen. There's my Cajun seasoning. It was smelling good in the kitchen. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna stir it up because I didn't want the season to like clump up in the pot, even though it's hot. Yes, your season can still clump up. It's kind of like if you add sugar before you put hot water, then there's sugar like that didn't really get wet below. It's kind of hard to explain. Then I add a little bit of the Sazon. I didn't add a lot because I already have salt and complete seasoning in there, and those are salty. And then that's my coconut milk. Remember I told you it has it's that I was only going to use a 1/4 cup of coconut milk. Well, it was what left in there, and it's a 1/4 cup of coconut milk. You don't need a lot unless you're a lover of coconut milk and you really want to taste it. Then please do so. You can go ahead and use as much as you want, but just try not to overdo it. But I use a 1/4 cup of coconut milk, and then I just came back and add more water so that way when I add my rice to the pot, I have enough water to fully cook my rice. So now I am cutting up my pepper for my chicken. I don't want to use the whole pepper. So what I did here is just cut off a little piece and then I slice and dice. So remember when I told you that I didn't want to put my onion in cubes? This is what I was talking about. I didn't want to do that, which is why I leave it sliced. But for the peppers, this is what I did. And here I'm only using a 1/4 of an onion, but this is what I usually do. Cut my onions in half, my whole onions in half. and then cut it in quarter and then just put it in a Ziploc bag, and if I need it, just take out a quarter and use. So that's what I did here. I take a quarter of the onion and I just slice it, and that's what I use for my chicken because I didn't want to go overboard with the onions and peppers. Now, remember, you don't need a lot of vegetables when you're cooking meat. A little bit still give you the flavor that you're looking for. So just keep that in mind. Now I'm only gonna use 2.5 cup of rice. Um, I washed my rice 2 times in the bowl and then a third time in the sieve. Um, I remember to use cold water. Yes, my husband holding the sieve for me. I'm just trying to get out all the rice that I can out of the bowl. I don't like to, when I'm cooking rice and when I wash it, then some is in the bowl. Yeah, I don't like that. So I try to get everything out. But yeah, I give it a third wash in the sieve, and then, always look for clear water coming off the rice. That's how you know you are good to go. Now I'm adding the rice to the pot. Um just remember, since the water is boiling and you add the rice to it, you could leave it boiling at a good level. For me it was at 6, and then I came back and I changed my level on the stove to low. Now, if the water boil out of the pot a little bit too fast and it's not fully cooked, so here I am changing my dial. I'm gonna come back and change it from 6, like I said. Yes, you could always do that. Measure your water. Now I'm only adding about 1/2 inch of oil in the frying pan because I'm not deep frying chicken. I'm pre-frying it, so you don't need a lot of oil. Um, I turn on my stove and I put it on 6 because I didn't want it to overheat and then everything starts to burn. I simply picked off a little piece of the meat and I put it in the frying pan to test the heat, to see if it's ready to go for me to fry. And it was, and I just started putting in pieces of chicken to pre-fry. So I trust me, I was standing far away from the frying pan, like I was stretching because I always get burned. But guess what? It's all in the game. You'll get burned. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're baking, frying, or whatever, even ironing, you get burned. Off topic. So I came back and I put my rice on low. Now look at this. My rice wasn't fully cooked. The water dried out before it was done, but my husband taught me a couple of years ago, like, once your rice is not fully cooked and the water dry out, the same little plastic bag that you get from the store when you buy vegetables that you put your onions or tomatoes or peppers in, you could use those. Just wash it, cut it in half, and cover the rice so that way it holds in the steam. Give it 10 minutes and look at this. 10 minutes and the rice was cooked just by putting the bag on top to hold in the steam. I'm not going to say I am fascinated with it because every time I cook rice and the water dry out a little bit too fast for my liking, that's exactly what I do. Moving on to my chicken, my chicken wing was fighting. It looked like it didn't want to get out of the frying pan, so I just kind of like move it around a little bit and a piece of skin got stuck to it. Now the reason why I take my time and take the skin out is because any piece of meat that stays in a frying pan while you still have more meat to fry is gonna burn. So just keep that in mind. This is what my chicken looked like after I was done. So I went back and I used the same oil that I fried it in, and I put it in the pot when I was about to start, do my brown stew chicken. Your oil has flavor. The same seasoning that was on the chicken is in the oil. So just remember that. So I just take the little bit of seasoning, the liquid that I had in my bowl, and put it in the pot, Excuse me, my accent came out. Um, yeah, I just add it to it and then I add a whole pepper. Remember I add jerk seasoning to it? Yeah, I know it wasn't going to be spicy, so I add a whole pepper and then I add um the thyme in there, sweet pepper and the onion that I cut up earlier. Now, some people like to put the peppers and onions and whatever in the bowl when they're done seasoning it and mixed up everything. So that those same onions stick on the chicken and then it gets in the oil and then it tends to burn. Yeah, so if you don't want it to burn too quickly, just try and add the vegetables to the pot after you're done pre-frying your chicken. What I'm doing here is just mixing everything so that way the vegetables can get to the bottom, so that way it can cook. What I like to do is, or what I always do is wash out the bowl that had the chicken in there, and that's exactly what I did. Now I know that the stew chicken doesn't look brown enough to you guys. Also, it does not look brown enough to me even in person, but I um I know exactly what to do. If you notice, I changed spoon. I had a little blue greenish spoon. Now I change it to a metal one. I use a tablespoon of meat sauce. Um just keep watching and you'll see how much time I change spoon. A third time. I love this spoon here because it has measurements in there. So I use a tablespoon of the meat sauce and 2 tablespoons of ketchup. And I tell you, the look of that chicken, man. Just remember, keep watching. So I'm tasting the food, which I love to do. I know we said we were gonna do fried plantains, but at Walmart they only sell green plantains, and we thought it was gonna ripe fast enough for us, but it didn't. So we just excluded. Yes, in Jamaica they say peas and not beans. The first thing I did was try the rice and beans and the coleslaw, perfect together. And then I decided to try the chicken, but the first time I put the fork in the chicken, I hit bone. So I move over and I try to get an area that has a lot of meat, and that's what I did. I tried it with some rice, and trust me, it was good. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. We appreciate you. Drop in the comment down below and let us know who you think gonna win that the water chug challenge.
I'm just saying
This is the
stay
water
blessed.
chug it
We
challenge.
love you guys.
Let's see who is going to win, husband versus wife.
Before
We
move
do love you.
forward,
Thanks for
what
watching.
we're gonna do is, yes, the water challenge. Who lose has to go outside in about a foot of snow, barefoot in what we have on. So, I am nervous, so please, let's get this started.
All right.
Ready? One.
Wait, open.
Alright, let me put this here. 1, 2, 3, go. I got water bottles. I got water.
You lose. Yes.
It's fine. I had water up my nose. All I did was like lean forward and the water just poured out.
Slow.
See why I shouldn't have been nervous?
Slow.
Because now I'm the one that has to walk outside. So let's go.
Let's go. So, you ready to step outside?
Alright, let me say this.
Yes.
Since yesterday, it's been in the negative, and right now it is -1, and I'm about to go out there. How far? Halfway?
No, you gotta touch the fence.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you gotta touch the fence. Go touch the fence. Gotta touch the fence. Yes. Yeah.
I can't be on my feet.
Hoo, hoo, hoo.